think we're back.
Here we go.
Here we go, Tommy. So, first of all, I'm going to say this again. I had a chance to talk to Tommy earlier, and I always like to have my conversations to be, like I say, barbershop style. It's like we're just going to sit in the chair. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about life. Tommy has had an impressive life. And I say that because what I learned about him, talking to him earlier, what he's been doing. And he came out, and I'm going to say it like this. He came out in that late 80s, early 90s, when Black people were on TV, Black people were on sitcom, Black people were in movies, and we were starting to make some really good inroads, and he got involved. He got big time involved. And he's went from being an actor to being a producer to now being a real time entrepreneur and doing business coaching for people into branding and marketing. And we're going to cover all those different things. So, Tommy, I want to hear from you. What do you feel is the most important thing that you're doing right now?
Well, what's interesting, I have a show called Give that's on, we started on NBC. And Give is a show where we go undercover. We send celebrities undercover to nonprofit organizations, and they're underserved, underfinanced, under-resourced, and we give them cash gifts. That's actually the show that won us an Emmy last season. To me, I like to use my art to help people. I've done all the cop shows and shoot 'em ups and all that kind of stuff, and I've been very blessed in my career. But to utilize my art to help people, I think that's what I do best, and that's what makes me sleep good at night.
Well, I tell you, I think you're a natural. You are
Appreciate that.
Natural, likable, engaging personality that allows people to come and want to work with you. Now, I want you to tell that story because I still resonate with the story you told me earlier, because you were telling me like how you got into the game, what you were doing. I said, whoa, how did you go from being in high school in LA to just knocking on Tommy Davidson's door? Tell me about that again.
No, it was actually Robert Townsend. It's Robert Townsend.
Right, exactly. Robert
okay.
Townsend. Right.
One of my dearest friends, his name is Bentley Kyle Evans. And Bentley, he created the Jamie Foxx Show. He's the executive producer on Martin. He just did Dad, You're Embarrassing Me for Jamie Foxx and his daughter on Netflix. And he's got about 4 shows on the air, but that's one of my dearest friends. So me and Bentley were just those 2 guys. When we graduated from high school, all of our friends were getting accepted to these amazing colleges. And, we were just kind of lost, man. We didn't know what we wanted to do. And so Robert Townsend just always thought I was funny. And so we went to his house one day, me and Bentley, and he was doing a movie called Hollywood Shuffle at the time. And we literally knocked on his door. And I told him, I said, hey, man, we want to work on the movie. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what, be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, and bring some donuts. Literally, that's what he said. Don't think me and Bent weren't there at 5:30. And we had some donuts, and we did whatever they wanted us to do. Okay. So long story short, I had a couple of roles in the movie, a speaking role, and it got me into the Screen Actors Guild. And everybody who worked on that movie was a comedian. So all we did was laugh all day. And when I got my check, because the movie got picked up by MGM, Samuel Goldwyn. And when I got my check, minimum wage in the Screen Actors Guild at that time was $1,256. So I got a check for doing what I used to get in trouble for. Oh man, I'm in. So they helped me get my first agent, and after that, I haven't looked back. So I've co-starred or guest starred on over 70 different titles. I had 2 TV series. I was on a soap for a long time. So I've been very, very blessed in this business. Very blessed. But my journey is very unconventional, to say the least.
Well, and you when I call that natural talent, you took it to that level. You had the belief in yourself with your friend to go and knock on his door, which opened up this whole journey, 70 episodes, 70 other titles producing. And then you meet, Blair Underwood. I think it was it LA Law, one of the most
yes, sir.
series what
Yes, sir.
in the 90s. You were a part of that. Tell us about that story.
Well, that story is very interesting because I met Blair, a friend and a very dear friend of mine. His name is Reggie Dorsey. And Reggie Dorsey used to play on 21 Jump Street back in the day. And Reggie had a party. And at this point, I was actually doing pretty well in the business. And I met Blair. And I met Blair at at a party that Reggie had. And we slapped hands and we just had a mutual respect for each other. And we just talking. And we had it was just a chance encounter, right? And when he left, I slapped hands with him, said, "Hey man, good meeting you." I said, "I'll see you around." He said, "Yeah, I'll see you around." Okay. And like 3 weeks after that, I was doing a guest star spot on LA Law, which at that time was the biggest show in the world. And I was doing a 2-part episode, so I was on the show for 2 weeks. And me and B just got a chance to like really hang out, and we had a very similar approach to how we do our work, and we rehearsed together. So that lifelong friendship turned into, hey man, let's create employment instead of begging for it. So we started producing, and we just really believe in doing quality filmed entertainment, and we like to edutain people, and not just to, stimulate people with with visual entertainment, but we really like to drop messages to people and make them feel good and maybe move and inspire someone to do some good in the world. I got a quick story about that too. It was really interesting, and it just clicked to me just now.
Yes, let's hear it.
When I was in 3rd grade, I'm trying to find my 3rd grade teacher right now as we speak. I'm trying to find my 3rd grade teacher because she actually taught me how to dream. Okay. Because every single day for 10 minutes, she'd turn out the lights in class and she'd have us put our heads down on our desks, and she would play music, and you hear the ocean and birds and all these things. And she'd come put her hand on someone's back and say, "Mary, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And she'd say, "I want to be a ballerina." And she'd say, "I want everyone to imagine, you see our friend Mary on stage? Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she so beautiful?" Right? And she'd come put her hand on my back and say, "Tommy, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Now, I didn't know. I was in 3rd grade. So I said, "I want to be in the television." I didn't know I wanted to be an actor, but I said, "I want to be in the television." So she would say, "When we go home today, I want everyone to imagine when we turn on our television sets, we see our friend Tommy. Isn't he amazing?" So my dream actually came true. So I'm trying to find her right now to tell her what she meant to me, because I think that's very important. A lot of times, all of us, I don't care whether you're a movie mogul, a tech maven, or a business magnate, whoever you are, there's somebody, professional athlete, there's somebody in your life that saw something in you that you didn't see. And they helped foster that environment. That's what gave me the wherewithal and the gall to go knock on Robert Townsend's front door.
I want our whole audience to really tune in to what you just said, because I heard even before there was a speaker on a couple hours before. They were talking about yoga, and they were talking about meditation, and I believe the moderator at the time was talking about that she was a teacher and she was doing exactly what you just talked about. This is how we stimulate ourselves, and we start to get a path that we create for ourselves, a future that you can believe in. You told me a story earlier, and I want you to tell that story because it's so powerful, because you've already been good in acting. You've already kind of did some film, you've done production, but you went into another world, right? You've got an Emmy. I mean, you're there in that world, an expert in that world, top of your game. But you went into this other game called the business world, and you're starting to talk to other individuals that have all these different educational titles and whatnot, and you're sitting at that table, and you had to find your confidence. Tell us about that story.
You mean with my mentor? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a mentor. He's worth $9 billion, and he owns over 70 hotels. I sit on his executive board. And like I shared with you earlier, there are men around the table from Harvard, Oxford, Princeton, Yale, Cornell, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, USC, and so on and so on. Now, I went to UCLA, but I never finished school. So technically I'm a high school graduate. So it's very intimidating to sit at a table with that type of talent. Because some of these people, honest to God, they are some of the most amazing business minds in American business, for real. Okay. Now I can be intimidated by that, or I can learn from it. Okay. So one night we went to a board meeting and we're standing outside and we're waiting to at the valet for our cars to pull up. And one of the guys tapped me on my shoulder and he said, "Hey Tom, you mind if I get in your ear for a second?" I said, "Oh, no problem." So he pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey, listen, can I take you to lunch next week? I want to get in your head about something." I was like, "Oh, okay." Right. So he took me to lunch, and I love this dude. He's a really cool guy. So he took me to lunch. And when I first started public speaking, I would tell people straight up, as soon as I take the stage, I would tell them, "Hey, everybody, I just want you to know I'm a little nervous." And everybody would laugh. And once I said it, I felt better. So I could go on and handle my business. Okay. So with him, I did that exact same thing. I said, "You know what? I'm just going to let you know, when I sit at the table at the board, I'm a little intimidated, man, because the education level is crazy." And he says, "Tommy, stop. He said, "Listen," he said, "you may not have a college degree, but you have a PhD at what you do. And deeper than that, last I checked, you were the only one with an Emmy." Yo, when he told me that, man, my swag was different. When I got up and walked away from the table, man, my walk was different because I had somebody of that ilk who believed in me, which was the exact same thing. And I swing back around to my teacher who believed in me in third grade. And she said, "You really can be an actor. If that's what you want to be that. You be that." Okay. So I just believe in anything, you put in the time and energy that it deserves to be successful. Okay. And don't be sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of distractions in life. And I believe that when you master your craft, you don't have to chase money. Money will chase you. Okay. And like I was sharing with you, Kobe was a friend of mine. And I'm from LA. Yo, Kobe played hoop. That's it. He mastered bouncing that ball. That's it. Kobe was in the gym every day at 4:30 in the morning. Every day. Okay. Now watch this. Some of his teammates, they just getting home from the club at 4:30. Okay. But watch this. Most people wake up every morning and they go to a job that they hate, and they trade hours for dollars. So their circle spins clockwise. But successful people, their circle spins counterclockwise because they don't chase money. Money chases them. Okay. In Kobe's case, Nike, Sprite, McDonald's, Gatorade, all of these people, "Here, Kobe, here's millions of dollars. Please do business with us." It's because that cat mastered his craft. And when you master your craft, it carries you into other things. Kobe won an Oscar. A lot of people don't know that. He was an Oscar as a producer. Okay. He was about to launch his venture capitalist firm. He was into a lot of things, but it all stemmed from bouncing that ball. So I just believe when you put the time and energy in to your craft and you master it, they will come chase you. Case in point, I don't care if you're a welder. If you're a welder, do you know that they will come find you if you are the top of your craft? Okay, Rolls Royce will come find you because they want the finest craftsmen to work on their coach works. That's facts. That's facts. So I'm a nerd. I love my craft. I shared with you earlier, I don't even have a job. I hang with my friends and make money. I hang with cool people and do cool stuff.
Well, I tell you, we had a great conversation, and we're going to continue this conversation right now because it's important. We want to educate our audience. We want to inspire them and give them some tidbits of information that can help them on their walk. Now, you've done a lot of different things. You are the poster child of being an entrepreneur. You started out being an entrepreneur. I'm probably not knowing you, but it sounds like you never really had a 9-to-5 type of job. You just
I have. Moving. I have.
Okay.
No, I have. Please don't get that twisted. But I think everything that you go through in life is a stepping stone towards where you're going.
Okay.
And I actually worked at a grocery store here in LA when I was a kid, and I had a supervisor that hated my guts. When I tell you, he hated my guts. Our manager, whatever he went through at home, he would bring that and take it out on us. Okay. And there was an incident when I was younger. I was just trying to learn how to check, and as a checker, you have to learn the produce codes and all these things. And I just was learning how to check the week of Thanksgiving. So the day before Thanksgiving, I'm in the store and it's crowded, right? This guy told me, Tom, it's a cleanup on the back aisle. And I was like, well, we have 6 box boys. He said, no, I want you to do it. I was like, wow, okay. So I didn't like how he spoke to me. So the lady that was in my check stand, I said, Miss, can you hold on a second? I turned off my key and I stepped out. I said, hey, man, if you have something to say to me, I'd appreciate it if you could, speak to me in a different manner. And then he got louder. I took my apron off. I gave it to him. Never went back and got my check. Now, here's my lesson, okay? I would never let a grown man talk to me that way ever again, okay? So I wanted to create my own employment instead of begging for it from someone else, okay?
Yes.
That was my lesson. Now,
yes.
I hope that can help someone else, but that was just my particular lesson.
Well, there's different avenues to making money, many different avenues, but the whole point is, what is your dream? What is your goal? Can you articulate your story to a point where it's attractive and magnetic? One of the things that we talked about that I found intriguing earlier today is that you've pivoted into this marketing, branding world, helping people from a social media standpoint. You're on LinkedIn and you are a master career, helping people with business life coaching. And one of the people that you help, this is an important thing I want people to understand. You are helping people that were very successful monetarily, billionaires, right? But just because you are very, very good in one aspect of life doesn't mean you're good at everything in your life, right?
It's true.
And everybody needs some coaching. They need some help. So talk to me about your coaching business.
Well, that's again, my mother used to always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, because obviously he has something very different for you. Okay. So I was pretty successful in traditional American business outside of show business. And so everybody wanted to know how I did it and how I got where I was. So I was doing the college tours and the speaking engagements. And I actually came across this gentleman who was a billionaire, and not my mentor. This is somebody completely different. Excuse me. And this gentleman was, he was a terrible husband. He was a terrible father. He spent his whole life focused on his business. So I kind of got in his life and helped him rearrange some things because he was so focused on his business, he had no people skills. Terrible husband, man, terrible father. So I helped him with his work-life balance. But like I said to you earlier, I'm a nerd. So I understand social media way better than most people do. And I'm not on it at all. And the only reason I'm on LinkedIn is because I'm backed by LinkedIn. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be on social media. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that.
Exactly.
So I got in his life, and I took all his digital real estate and all his digital assets, and I turned them into revenue streams and profit centers. So this guy, I had no idea that he too was a public speaker, but he was jumping on stage in front of 4,000 and 5,000 people at a time, and he's telling them that he met this young black kid in LA that helped change his life. So now my phone starts ringing, and my phone starts ringing. Now, I had no idea that people would actually pay you for your insight. And it led to a huge business of mine on LinkedIn. And I'm backed by LinkedIn, and they treat me very, very well. And it's an amazing situation.
Wow.
And plus, I get a chance to like really do what I do. I get a chance to, there are a lot of people that they want to start a business, but they can't really figure out where they want to go. Now, watch this. This is key. When people start a business, they try to throw out a wide net and they try to catch whoever they can catch. And that's the recipe for disaster, man. What you got to do is you can't try to sell sugar to a diabetic. You got to know who your people are and who you're talking to. So basically, I like to say, find your tribe and have your tribe find you, right?
Right.
Those are the people that you're listening to. And those are the people that speak your language. Those are your customers. So we have to figure out a campaign, how to build your brand and to speak to your demographic. It's pretty easy, actually.
Well, Tommy, let's talk about that, because one of the other things I really liked about our earlier conversation was about this thing about the cloth.
Right? Yes, sir. The
cloth.
I
love the story around the cloth, because I believe this audience right now, this tribal audience in the Black Business Olympics will gain a lot of insight from the cloth. So I'll let you go ahead and tee us up on that.
Wow. Okay. The cloth. Okay. Here's the cloth. What I noticed is, and like, let's take Kobe, for example. Kobe, people say, oh, he is so arrogant. Kobe is so arrogant. But they said the same thing about Deion Sanders. He's one of the only people, he is the only man on the planet who played in a NFL Super Bowl and a World Series. Okay. He's one of the best to ever do it. Okay. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Same thing with LeBron. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. Same thing with Muhammad Ali. They all talk. And people are like, oh, they're so arrogant. Oh, they're so arrogant. But you know what? These guys are champions. And they weren't just good. These guys were great. Okay. Now, they all understood that language. Okay. Now, could it be that they're just cut of a different cloth? Could it be? Because there are a lot of people who have never, ever, ever achieved what they will achieve, but they stand there and talk about them. Okay. What's interesting, you may remember this. Deion Sanders, he played in a baseball game and hopped on a helicopter and flew to his football game. There was an announcer that was like, oh, he is so arrogant. Oh, Deion Sanders, oh, he's so selfish. I'm like, well, how is he selfish? Could it be that he's just doing something that you can't do? And could it be that, you know, he just speaks a different language? He's cut of a different cloth. So here we go. Most of my friends, they're either decision makers or they own companies. And when we all get together and go to Vegas for the weekend or whatever it is, we like to say we're having cloth talk, okay? Because we are cut of a different cloth, okay? And to understand that language, you have to be of the cloth, okay? And that's not to be arrogant. Please, please, please don't take it that way. It's just that even the Bible says a man is as he thinketh, okay? Because he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't, they're both right, okay? So you have to interpret that. So there are a lot of times that people just don't really understand that. Maybe they just don't speak that language.
That's and you're right, because think about that. Are you in the gym shooting 500 shots a day? Are you doing things behind the scenes? That's what people don't understand. Champions don't just roll out and put up 40, 50 points and then get on planes and then fly over and play baseball. No, these guys are putting in, they have a work ethic, some habits and rituals, who I learned from another great speaker, that if you're going to be a professional, you're going to be the best at what you do, you've got to put in that extra time. You are not a 9-to-5 person. You're 24 hours a day. You're 365. You're living and breathing this every day. I talked about a little earlier with you, and I said, well, Tommy, it seemed like you just got into this game. You got into the film industry. People are choosing you. Now, there's other comics. There's other actors. What is your secret sauce? What is happening with you that people are choosing you as opposed to someone else?
It's funny, when you and I spoke about that earlier, I would say, like, when I was coming up as an actor, whenever I would get a job, we could be on location somewhere, and I would always sit with the producers and directors. And I always wanted to know, hey guys, why don't you guys hire me as opposed to another actor? And it always came down to a people thing. It's like, man, you know what, Tommy, when you came in the room, I could go to Canada and work with you for 10 weeks. It had nothing to do with being an actor, nothing. Now, keep in mind, they could always call my agent. They could have my agent send over my reel if they wanted to see more of my work, but it always boiled down to a people thing, okay? So now I understand that. Now, keep in mind, I don't want it to get twisted. I work really hard in my craft, but, you know, on top of that, when you're going to work with someone for many, many, many hours a day, I'm sure you want to like them, okay? And now as a producer, I completely understand that, okay? You and I spoke earlier, like owning a company. People come in and they interview with me, okay? And their resume could be stellar. They have the PhD and the MBA and the PMPs and all that stuff on their resume, but I don't care. I want to know, who are you? Who are you? So I slide their resume to the tip of my desk. I'm like, so tell me about yourself. And they go into this. Oh, wow. Ha, that's a good question. Well, I'm kind of like, well, you know. I'm like, no, I don't know. That's your job. And I watched them completely fall apart. Okay. Now, had I asked him, where'd you go to school? Well, I got my PhD at Harvard. I got my MBA at Stanford. I went to B school in Boston. They'll tell you all that. Okay. But they won't tell you who they are because they don't know. Some of my clients are 65 years old, don't even know who they are yet because they've never been asked, because they're caught in that system of go to school, get out, punch a clock, and go work for somebody else. Okay. They've never even thought about what's it going to take to make me happy and what do I want to do? So when people go through my program as a coach, I really break down what do you really want to do? And with my program, I have what are called discoverable attributes. I'll give you a great example of that. Okay. There's a young lady, and as a matter of fact, I'll give you a better one. Okay. There's a young lady who reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? She reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I had a mistake on my LinkedIn page. And she sent me an inbox, and she was like, Tommy, are your messages secure? I was like, well, yeah. Like, what's the problem? She said, oh, I didn't want to embarrass you, but you have a mistake on your LinkedIn page. So, okay, no problem. I sent her my number, and, she called me, went over it. And sure enough, I had a little punctuation mistake on there. And she said, oh, I am so sorry. I'm just a stickler for that. She said, Tommy, my mom was an English teacher. I said, wow, mine was too. So we had a great conversation, right? And I said, you know what? You make a great script supervisor. She said, well, what's that? And I told her what a script supervisor was. And for those of you who don't know, a script supervisor is this. As an actor, I'm famous for blowing my line. So if I get stuck, I'll say, line, please. And a script supervisor will tell me the line. I'm like, got it. And I can jump right back in. That's a script supervisor. She follows the script. Even if I ad lib, they do what's a shorthand. And on scene 1, take 3, Tommy said this. Okay. Because later on, sometimes we might have to go correct that in ADR, in an ADR session. I have to say exactly what I said. So anyway, long story short, she thought that was interesting. So I hooked her up with our script supervisor, and it was during COVID, and it was near the end of COVID. So she was doing a project, and she went and shadowed our script supervisor. Okay. They got along great. She fell in love with it. Long story short, she's now a script supervisor, and she works in New Line Cinema, and she's making way more money than she was making at her job prior to COVID, which I didn't even know. She lost her job during COVID. She didn't want anything. She was just reaching out because a guy had a mistake on his LinkedIn page. That's God at work, man. Now, that's what I call a discoverable attribute, because she was good at something, and she didn't even know that was a job. That's crazy, right?
No, that's a beautiful story. That shows initiative. Mm-hmm. It shows that even yourself, you thought outside the box. Even though she's correcting some English, you saw her skill set, and you had an opportunity. She didn't even realize it. But again, because she was good at her craft, you recognized it, and then you brought her an opportunity in which she was able to walk through that door and obviously do a great job. And I applaud
let me say something to you real quick, not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I believe that thoughts are things. And people say all the time, Tommy thinks outside the box. I don't believe in a box. Like, what box? Because those who define you will confine you. Okay. And in my business, I literally come up with an idea. We write it down. We have a meeting about it. Next thing you know, they're paying you a bunch of money for it. Okay. So what I'm saying is I believe in the impossible. And everybody around me and everybody that we have cloth talk with believes in the impossible. Because watch this. Can you imagine when the Wright brothers were creating the airplane? They say, hey, everybody, we're going to take this metal and we're going to shape it and mold it, and we're going to put people in it and fly them over the ocean. And everybody's like, yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. Okay. Now, here's an example today. Just not long ago, someone said, hey, everybody, I'm sorry I took the elevator and I'm disrupting your meeting, but I just need $1,000 from everybody in this room. I have an idea. It's going to change the world. Are you ready? It's called the internet. I bet you wish you had your hand in that, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. These people, they see things that other people just don't see. Okay. So you just have to have the ability to think outside that box that people try to put you in. Like, I just don't even believe in the box.
I think you're right about that, because there are parameters that are always around us. Let's just say, for instance, you're at a pond, and then you take a rock, right? And you go ahead and toss that rock into the pond. It's going to have different ripples effects, right? Circles around it. Now, if you only stay and say, you know what, that's as many ripples that can be made in that pond. But if you take now a larger rock and toss it in there, it's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So there's no limit to how big it can be. It's just a matter of how much impact you can make in that field and environment. So I truly respect what you're saying.
Well, it's crazy. Just like you are what you eat, you are what you digest mentally, right? And I love reading and watching videos on people that I admire. I want to hear their story. My mother always said I was nosy, and I like to say, no, I'm inquisitive. But okay, I'm nosy. I'll take that. But when I meet someone that really intrigues me, I want to hear their journey. Okay, like you see a doctor driving down the street, and you see him in his big Mercedes, and he's got his white jacket hanging up in the window. That's you see the result. Exactly. Okay, you didn't see when he was eating popcorn and tuna fish, and he was trying to make it and struggling to pay his rent and all that kind of stuff. You don't see that. You just see the outcome. Okay, you see LeBron when he's accepting his awards and stuff, but you don't see when this dude is doing all the dirty work at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't see that. Right. Okay. Now that's what successful people do. Now we are in this society with social media, and everybody thinks you just add water and all of a sudden you're balling out of control. It doesn't work like that. Okay, it just doesn't. Okay, you really have to put in the work. There is no elevator to the top, homie. You have to take the stairs. That's facts. Okay?
I totally, and what you're saying right there, you have to put in the work. Just like I just said earlier about the rock, right? You have to throw the rock into the water to make those ripples, the visibility to make that happen. You've been doing that. You've been working on several different projects as well. I just saw some things you're doing with another entrepreneur called Loveseat. This is an application that's pretty awesome. Yes. I mean, you got to talk about that, because I think that's some out of the box thinking.
Okay, let me plug Loveseats real quick. Okay, Loveseats is an app. Please go download it right now. LUV. Capital SEATS. Okay, Loveseats is an app. Now here is how Loveseats is ultimately going to work. Okay, Loveseats is, let's just say you and I were hanging out, and you're in Los Angeles, and we're at the Laker game. Okay, and we have terrible seats. Okay, now there are vendors such as StubHub and Ticketmaster. They buy up a lot of inventory, and it's going to say that it's sold out. But is it really? Okay, so we could go on the Loveseats app and we could see what's really available, and we could change our seats in real time. Okay, now let's just say we have great seats, but it's a blowout. And you're like, Tom, let's get out of here, man. Let's go get some dinner. We could actually put our seats up on Loveseats, and somebody else can buy them from us. So when we leave, we get some money back. Okay, and ultimately what we're working on now, interdepartmentally in the app. Let's just say I'm on one side of the venue and you're on another. I can see that you're on there. I can say, man, I'm gonna reach out to you, and I'm gonna say, hey, I bet LeBron doesn't hit his next 5 free throws, and you're like, I bet he does. So we can bet within the app, and it's a lot of social components, and it's really, really cool. It's really cool.
I love it. I saw the little snippet of it, and I immediately got it. I immediately got it, especially when it's playoff time now. I'm in Miami, Florida, the Heat are playing, and I would love to see. Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to rep the Heat just a little bit right now, So we're moving it forward, and so those types of things are very, very important. We're starting to think, that Uber and that Airbnb and those type. Technology is changing the game. I gave a talk the other day about business and technology. You have to start thinking outside of this world, moving from that analytical space to the creative mindset. Do different things, just like the Black Business Olympics. Let's do something. We have our own TV network. You couldn't think about it. You've been in television for the last 30 years, right? You needed to have a huge capital Who's going to promote it? Who's got the technology to even have the film? Now we can just jump on our computers and then boom, you got live
Man,
TV.
let me tell you, this is why I salute Dr. Kelly so big time. Okay, because we talk about this all the time. He's a real humble guy, but I don't really think he realizes what he has. Now, watch this. There are 3 people in this business that I'm chasing right now, and I've been really blessed in this business. But there are 3 people that I'm chasing. There's Tyler Perry. There's one of my dearest friends. His name is Bentley Kyle Evans, and then there's Byron Allen. Okay. Who's hands down one of the most powerful men in television. Those 3 black men that I just mentioned are the only black men in America who own their own movie studios. Okay. Now, what's really interesting is that when you really start to understand how the system works, because everybody wants to be in front of the camera, everybody wants to be on, Facebook and Instagram, but man, they don't understand the business. Okay. Because the business is what's happening. Okay. And then once you really understand the mechanism and how it works and the framework of how it works, you could create your own employment. Okay. It's really interesting that there's so many people that reach out to me on LinkedIn and they really don't understand like how the business works. I hear this every day. Every day. I heard it twice today. Oh, my book would make an amazing movie, Tommy. I'm like, well, okay. Well, are you a script writer? Well, no. I'm like, okay, well, we have to find a script writer. And, to get a script writer of note, that's going to cost you about $100,000. Oh, I had no idea. Exactly. And then once you get the script, then what are you going to do with it? Oh, well, I never thought. Exactly. Okay. This is a business and it's 98% business. There's only 2% show. And people don't understand that. They don't understand. I hear this one too. Oh, Tom, I got the best project for Blair. I'm like, well, no, that's the best project for you. You didn't ask that man what he wants to do. It's interesting. It's so interesting. That's why I don't have anything about that side of my life on LinkedIn, because people just bombard me with all this stuff and they don't really understand, how the business actually works. This is the only business that I know that somebody can go have a business card made and say, hey, I'm an actor. Hey, I'm a writer. Hey, I'm a director. And they have absolutely 0 credentials.
Nothing.
Right? I can't go have a business card made and say, hey, I'm president of Pepsi, and expect them to pay me $5 million a year. It just doesn't work that way. Again, there are no, you can't take the elevator to the top. You have to take the stairs.
You've got to do the work. You've got to put in the work behind, you might have the camera, but if you can't perform in front of it, you've just wasted a lot of time. So you've got to put it. Now, you said something to me even earlier, which the audience has to hear this, and that is how to monetize on social media. How you took a look at that your friend, another billionaire, saying, hey, you don't see how you have a business here that you can then take and create revenue streams out of. Talk to me more about that.
Okay, again, because I'm not on social media, I kind of look at things very different. But my expertise in film and television and marketing and all these things, I kind of see things with a very different eye. Okay, so here's how this started. A friend of mine, he has 21 million people that follow him on Instagram. And we all went to dinner one night and we ordered and our drinks came and everybody had some exotic drink and it was amazing. And he pulls out his phone. Nobody touched anything. I'm going to post this. And I was like, man, who does that? What are you, like a 13-year-old girl? Like, who does that? Right? So it started an amazing conversation because I was letting him know. I said, bro, you're about to post a picture to a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate and you're not going to make a dime? Come on, man. Who's the dummy? You getting played. And everybody who's doing it is getting played. Okay? Now, people don't think about that. They're just, hey, let me post this picture. Okay. You are literally a business. And I was telling him, I said, bro, you are CBS. And he didn't understand. I said, well, let me explain to you. I said, people follow you by choice. Okay. Just like people watch CBS by choice. They could be watching ABC. They could be watching NBC. They could be watching Fox. But no, they watch this network by choice. Okay. So I said, that's why people follow you by choice. They're interested in your skincare. They're interested in what you wear. They're interested in your lifestyle. Okay. I said, you have to understand your worth, bro. Okay. Now, see, to me, when it came to monetizing brands, I understand a lot of this stuff. When you drive down the street and you look up and you see a billboard, who's that billboard for? You know, I might look up and say, wow, she's pretty. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy those tires. Okay. There's no call to action. So what I did during this COVID environment, I can, some of my partners and friends, we have sponsors, whether it's clothes or shoes or watches or whatever it is. And I got all our sponsors on the phone. And I say, hey guys, listen, during this COVID environment, what's your biggest challenge? And they were like, wow, Tom, no one's shooting commercials. No one's doing print ads. No one's doing voiceovers. You know what? Our messaging is not getting through to our consumers. I said, oh, and right there, a light bulb went off. So I have a lot of friends who have huge digital real estate. Okay. Some are celebrities, some not. Most are not. Okay. They just spent years just building their brand, but they didn't really realize it was just something that they enjoyed. Okay. And that's why I hate that word influencer. Okay. Back in the day, not so much now, but say you're a huge influencer, somebody would pay you $5,000 to send out a tweet about their product. Well, who's that for? You don't get any analytics. There's no call to action. Most people just scroll right past it. So that to me is like lighting $5,000 on fire. Okay. Now I developed a system where I could go directly to Wingstop and say, hey, Wingstop, if I could bring you 400,000 emails on someone who directly uses your product, what's it worth to you? Is it worth $30,000? Is it worth $50,000? Because we all know all the money is in the analytics. Okay. So that's what I do. So if you're out there and you have a business and you're just posting pictures of people wearing your shoes or wearing your dress, you're not monetizing your brand and you're killing yourself. Okay. So people really need to understand what this new world and this new media thing is. What's really interesting, we were just laughing about this because when I first started pitching TV shows as a producer, I was pitching guys who look like my dad. Okay. And this wasn't that long ago. Okay. So now when we go pitch projects, I'm the old dude in the room and you have some kid with surfboards and BMX bikes hanging up in his office because they understand multimedia. Okay. We were just at where was it? Where were we? In Amazon. Because we were just at Amazon TV just last week sometime. And the head of television development is like a kid. Man, they understand it.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I tell all my colleagues that produce film and television, they do network television. I say, man, you better learn this stuff because that's where the world is right now. A buddy of mine just bought a house. Man, his house is ridiculous. He probably has 25 TVs in it. It's like it's an 11-bedroom house, and his kids are 10 and 8. Man, televisions to them are like furniture. They don't even look at them at all.
Right.
They look at their phones and they look at their devices, and that's it. Okay, we got to be able to see this stuff. And that's where the world is.
I have kids in my this younger generation, Gen, I don't know what they call them, Gen Z. Then you got the millennials. They do not watch network television. They tune in to streaming, and they get their information through streaming. And I remember, I'm a date myself. I remember there was like 3, 4 maybe TV stations, and then we thought we were really doing it when cable came out. Like cable, man, I can't believe look at all these stations. This is unbelievable, right? And these kids are like, cable, how much is that?
Exactly.
I'm going to pay for internet, and that's it. And if I want to subscribe to something and pay a few dollars a month, I'll pay for it for a few dollars a month, and I'll move on to something else. And I keep moving, and I have thousands of things to tune into, and they don't need to necessarily be brands that we think like corporate brands. They can be shows just like this, or just me and you. You're like, wow, Tommy's doing some amazing things. I'm going to tune in to his YouTube channel. See what Tommy's talking about. And now you've got a library of information. That was not available to us even 10 years ago. So the game has changed. The marketing world has changed. The branding world has changed. And we have to get into the mindset of who's coming up, not who's already been there.
Absolutely.
5-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.